Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Emeth and to our Shabbat evening service. I welcome you here to the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary in Teaneck, New Jersey. If you're joining us on live stream this evening, I'd like to welcome you to our service. The prayer book that we're going to use this evening is Mishkan Tefillah. It is the prayer book that perhaps you have at home, and if you do, now is the time to bring it to your screen or to your device so that you can follow along with each and every song and prayer and page number of our service this evening. Also, if you're watching on live stream, I hope you'll take a moment to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. It can be your name or your location or Shabbat Shalom, but in doing that, others see that you are there, and in this way we form bonds of virtual community together. To those of you here in the sanctuary, Shabbat Shalom to you, and Bruchim Habaim. You know where to find your prayer book. You can find it right in front of your seat. And in the spirit of welcoming, I want to welcome back to the Bima Stephen Friedman, Temple member, who will be our cantorial soloist this evening. So thank you, Stephen. And we are going to begin our service this evening with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, which is found on page 120. It is preceded by an opening reading. And for the honor of leading us in the candle blessing, we call upon Julie Weissman.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own way, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Lehadlik ner, shel Shabbat.
We continue now with our Shabbat evening Kiddush, which is found on page 123, also preceded by an English reading. For the honor of Kiddush, we call upon Sue Kirsch, and please rise if you are able for the Kiddush. Okay, so they're going to rise, and you're going to start right. Option A, yes.
As evening falls, we give thanks for the blessings of the past week, for life and strength, for work and rest, for home, love, and community. As we enjoy this bounty, may we be inspired to bring goodness into the lives of others. We raise a cup of wine in gratitude for the miracle of creation and for the gift of this day of rest. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kosho ve'avahu ratzon hinkilanu zikaron le'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tekilah le'mikra kodesh zeker tziyat Mitzrayim ki Mikol Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Please be seated. Our opening song this evening is found in the Siddur on page 142. So we turn now to page 142 and we join together in singing Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Asharet, Malakei Elyon, Mi-Melech Malakei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ro'achem leShalom, Malakei Ashalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mi-Melech Malakei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sekem leShalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Elyon, Mi-Melech Malakei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
On page 143 is an excerpt from the book of Genesis, the beginning of Parshat Vayetze, where Jacob is left alone for the first time. And in this moment of solitude, he still has a moment of communion, having a dream and feeling the presence of God. He names that place where he feels the presence of God Beit El, which means the house of God. And this, in a way, is the first precedent for a Jewish house of worship, for the Jewish people creating a sacred space like the one we are in today. And so in appreciating our sacred space, we recite this passage together at the top of page 143. And Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. Coming upon a certain place, he passed the night there, for the sun was setting. Taking one of the stones of the place, he made it his headrest as he lay down in that place. He dreamed, and lo, a ladder was set on the ground, with its top reaching to heaven. And lo, angels of God going up and coming down on it. And lo, Adonai stood up above it and said, I, Adonai, am the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The land on which you are lying I will give to you and to your descendants. And your descendants shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread out to the west and the east and the north and the south. Through you and your descendants all the families of the earth shall find blessing. And here I am with you. I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this soil. I will not let go of you as long as I have yet to do what I have promised you. Waking from his sleep, Jacob said, Truly Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it. He was awestruck and said, How awe-inspiring is this place. This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. We turn now to page 144 as our service continues with Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalmad Yifrak Yirteh, v'yamlik Malkuteh, v'kaye kon of Yomei kon of kaye, v'kol Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, Uvisman Kariv, v'meru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorak, Le'olam U'al Me'al Maya, Yitbarak, Yitbarak. Yisbarak, V'yishtabak, V'yitpar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yithale, V'yithalal, Shemei Kedusha, V'yichu, Lemin Kol Birata V'shirata, Tush Bechata V'nekemata, Damiran B'yalma, V'meru. Amen.
Please rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu is found on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmorotehem, barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai Tsebaot Shemo. El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malkuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We turn to page 154. Please join as together we chant Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'kol levavcha v'kol nafshecha, v'kol meodecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anoki mitzavka, hayom alevabecha, ve'shinatam levanecha, ve'dibarta bam, V'shivteka beveteka, uvlekteka vaderek, uvshokteka ukumeka, ukshartam leot al yadeka, vehayu letotapod beineneka, uktatam amizuspeteka, uvishareka. Leman tiskeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, Vitem Kiddushim Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hoseiti Ekem, Meretz Mitzrayim, Liot Lakem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We turn at this time to page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Mi kamoka ba'elim Adonai, mi kamoka nedar ba'kodesh, norati hilot osef ele, norati hilot osef ele, malkutecha ra'u banecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe, Zeli, Zeli.
V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov u'galaom yad chazak mimenu. Baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael. We turn to page 161 as we offer an English interpretation of the Hashkivenu. We read together at the top of the page. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. B'nei Uvein, B'nei Yisrael, B'nei Yisrael, oti leolam. V'shamru B'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue at this time with the Tefillah, which is found in Mishkan Tefillah on page 164. Please rise if you are able for the Tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ben Ara, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zoker Chastei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Gula Lifnei B'nehem, Leman Shemo V'ahava, Melech Ozer, U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mekayeh HaKol atah Rav L'Shia, Morid HaTal. Mekalkel Kaim Bekesed, Mekayeh HaKol Berakamim Rabim. Somek Noflim V'Rofei Kolim, Umatir Asarim, Umekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar. Mikamo Kabal Giberot, Umido Melach, Melech Memi Baruch atah Adonai Mekaye Hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'kol yom haluka selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We turn now to page 175, where we find an interpretation of the Avodah prayer. Avodah is the word for service or worship, and indeed you'll see in the words of this interpretation that we offer God thanksgiving for this sacred opportunity. We read together in English at the top of the page. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha, b'yir'ah na'avod. We turn now to page 179, where we find a prayer for peace. Together, grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, ba'shalom. We take a moment now for Tefillat Halev, offering to God the prayers of our hearts. Inspirational readings for this time are found in Mishkan Tefillah on pages 180 and 181.
Say shalom bimromav, Huya say shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, v'meru, amen. Say shalom bimromav, Huya say shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, v'meru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael.
We turn now to page 363 in the Siddur, which is where we find the beginning of our Torah service, Seder Kriyat HaTorah. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We continue in the middle of the next page. Please rise if you are able for the Torah service. this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Umerome Ma Shemo Yakdav, Lecha Adonai Hagedula, Vehagebura, Vehatiferet, Vehanetzach, Vehahod, Kiko Bashamayim Uvaretz, Kiko Bashamayim Uvaretz, Lecha Adonai Amamlacha, Vehamid Naseh Lekol Erosh.
Please be seated. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Va'etchanan. It's the second Torah portion in the book of Deuteronomy, and it is a continuation of the theme that began in the last Torah portion, which is Moses telling the Israelites about their history. It's been 40 years since they began this journey. It's a new generation, and so we're hearing Moses' voice in recounting what was important about those 40 years. And so in this Torah portion is the Ten Commandments. It's the less famous version of the Ten Commandments. When we say the Ten Commandments, we're usually talking about Exodus chapter 20, not the Deuteronomy version, which is important and has a couple of differences between the Exodus version and this one. And it also has the Shema. And the Shema, which we're familiar with from, being at services, the Shema is, I guess it's part of their history, but the Shema also represents sort of a transition as we're telling the story of the book of Deuteronomy, because the Shema is really the first major statement of theology. Deuteronomy is very concerned with monotheism. Deuteronomy is very concerned with loyalty to God as an expression of the covenant. And Deuteronomy is also concerned with the centralization of worship. So we don't really feel that third theme in the Shema itself. We do in many other parts of Deuteronomy. But when we hear the Shema, we talk about the unity of God. We talk about the unity of the people that would be declaring the Shema. And it talks, of course, about love. Ve'ahavta means you shall love. But when you read between the lines of the Shema, you understand that it's not just love, but it is also loyalty to God. And so we're going to hear the Shema chanted out loud. Cindy Simon is our Torah reader tonight, and Cindy accepted last minute the second opportunity to also have the Aliyah. And so Cindy, here come. Oh, and she brought her own yad, which I hid. I will hide it no longer. So I'm going to stand right here. Actually, I'll take this and I'll hold it right in front of you. And make sure that you're all aligned. Yes. That should be pointed at the Shema. That's perfect. But first, you're going to start here.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher baruch rabanu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levacha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol meodecha. V'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi misamcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiptecha b'veitecha uvlektecha b'derek ukshakbecha ukumecha ukshartam leot ayadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam v'tukenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. That was beautiful. Right next to Susan. This time our thoughts turn to those in need of healing as we prepare to offer Mishaberach for healing, which is found in Mishkan Tefillah on page 371. If you are thinking of someone in need of healing, you'd like to share their name out loud or in your heart. If you're watching us on live stream, I invite you to share the name of your loved one in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. And here in the sanctuary, if you'd like to share the name of your loved one out loud or in your heart, I invite you to do so at this time. As a congregation, we think of our members and their loved ones in need of healing. Their names will appear on your screen, either on live stream or in the corner of the sanctuary, as we turn to page 371 and we join together to sing the Mishaberach. We continue now with the lifting and dressing of the Torah, found at the bottom of page 370. Please rise if you're able for Hagba and Galila. Okay, we're ready.
Bezot Torah asher sham Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe.
We remain standing as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark. We turn in the Siddur to page 374. Yehalalu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado.
Odo al eretz v'shamayim vayerem kerem le'amo tehila lekol chasida lifnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah.
Ki lekach tov natati lachem torati al ta'azovu. Please be seated. If there's one biblical verse that virtually all Jews know in Hebrew, it is the Shema. It is the first verse that young children are taught, and it is part of every morning and evening prayer service. The Shema in its modern context is about monotheism, which is why the final words are usually translated, "The eternal is one." But what is sometimes overlooked in that translation is the unity of God is supposed to reflect the unity of the people. We are one people bound in covenant to a single God. It is a fundamental value of Judaism. Being one people does not, of course, mean that we are of one mind. Other than that moment of revelation at Sinai, our history has been one of debate and disagreement, in large part because we have maintained the fundamental values of Judaism. Watching the Israeli protest movement since January and the vote to change the scope of the judiciary this week, it is easy to think that the divisions laid bare in these months are something different. Israelis are accustomed to debating their security situation because most serve in the army and all are at risk of an attack. They are used to debating the relationship of religion and state, such as whether there should be civil marriage, because both halakha and civil law play some role in establishing the Jewish character of the state and how Israelis define freedom. This debate is different because the changes to the judiciary strike at the very core of what it means to be a Jewish democracy and threaten to change that balance of power permanently. The vote this week technically changes one of the standards by which the Israeli Supreme Court can invalidate a law or policy. The standard was reasonableness, which was inherited from British law when the state was established at the end of the British Mandate. It is important to understand that unlike the United States, which has 3 distinct branches of government, Israel really has only 2, because the executive and legislative overlap so much in the parliamentary system. Unlike the US, Israel has only 1 house in its legislature. Unlike the US, there is no federated system so that power is shared with the states. If a democracy requires checks and balances, and virtually every scholar of democracy says that it does, then the main check on the excesses of the governing coalition in Israel is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has upheld the rights of Palestinians under Israeli occupation. The Supreme Court has upheld the rights of religious minorities, such as Reform Jews. Time and again, the court has shown it is a vital check against state power, and in doing so established itself as a necessary democratic institution. Part of the alarm of those on the left and center is that this change is just the first of many. The government will likely vote in the fall to restrict the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, leaving them powerless to weigh in on certain issues. Another proposal is to change the way the Supreme Court judges are chosen, giving the ruling coalition more say and the legal profession less. Each of these proposals will erode the judiciary's role as a check on state power. Part of the alarm is that the changes could damage Israel economically and militarily. Already, military reservists have threatened to boycott their mandatory training because of this vote. Some of the international corporations and investors who have made Israel so successful as the startup nation have questioned whether Israel is the right place to dedicate future resources. This will affect everyone. Part of the alarm is that the coalition pursuing these changes is the most right-wing in Israeli history. It includes cabinet members who have condoned settler violence against Palestinians and who have advocated to remove the separation between religion and state. Based on its proponents, it looks like the reform is a step toward theocracy. And part of the alarm is that Prime Minister Netanyahu is on trial for corruption, and judicial reform may enable him to have the charges dropped and never have to answer the allegations against him. It is a dangerous precedent that corruption is not a disqualification to holding office. To those in the protest movement, which included many people who voted for Likud, this week's vote was the first step in dismantling Israeli democracy, something that they value on multiple levels. They value it because it ensures their freedom. They value it because it is their legitimacy in the international community. They value it because only through democracy can the difficult decisions of security, equality, and the economy reflect the will of the people. In other words, it is about the very principles upon which the Jewish people hold together and upon which the state of Israel was founded. For this reason, the diaspora Jewish community must also be involved. We have spent 75 years advocating for Israel as a country deserving of international support because it is the only democracy in the Middle East. Now we must work to ensure that Israel remains a democracy. We as Reform Jews must get involved because our movement has spent decades fighting for recognition and respect in Israel. The campaign has been long and hard, and the victories have been small and incremental. But if Israel becomes a state run by ethno-nationalist Jews, we will see the Reform movement and its values of gender equality, inclusion, and embrace of modernity marginalized by state power, with a judiciary too weak to protect it. Israelis see their society becoming more and more divided, with this vote being just the latest wedge. If we are to take the words of the Shema to heart, we must seek connections with Israelis and not let the gap between Israeli Jews and diaspora Jews grow any wider. To many Jews, both in Israel and here in the diaspora, this week's vote was more than a setback, it was a gut punch. It took the only Jewish country away from its founding ideal of democracy and set it on a course to become like Hungary and Poland, places which are technically democracies, but where democratic institutions are weak. But the fight is not over. As we approach the High Holy Days, you will learn more about what we as members of Temple Emeth can do. In the meantime, read the news and speak to friends. Learn what the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism and the Unacceptable Movement are doing to support democracy and thwart similar reform proposals. The Shema has been described as the watchword of our faith. It is also the slogan for Jewish unity. That unity is threatened when democracy is threatened. When we advocate for democracy, we lend our voices for the strength of Israel and the Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues at this time with the Aleinu. The Aleinu is found on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu. We turn at this time to page 596, where we find a reading to introduce the mourner's Kaddish. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction, he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as, in their higher moments, they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. This Shabbat, remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim, 30-day period of mourning. Roberta Robinson, aunt of Mindy Greenberg. Joy Price, aunt of Stephen Nagin. Flip Bernard, Temple member and wife of Larry Bernard. Philip Shub Sosland, brother of David Sosland. And Stuart Weinberg, nephew of Loretta Weinberg. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week. Herbie Bias, Bernard Chaliff, Nancy Duguid, Lester L. Eisner, Rolf Fetter, Estelle Fish, Paul Horowitz, Robert Jaggi, Florence Kaufman, Sadie L. Linfield, Israel Nick Mandelkern, Susan Meyer, David Packles, Suzanne Pearl, Kate Raymer, Rudolph Seiss, Charles Schimmel, Frida Fritzi Stein, Harry Strasburger, Alvin Subin, Svetlana Walters, Brenda Weissman, and Alice Zimmerman. And we remember the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust. Shlima Blech of the Soviet Union, age 17. Yaakov Blechman of the Soviet Union, age 8. Samuel Blecher of Poland, age 12. Edith Braun of Czechoslovakia, age 14. Alice Braun of Czechoslovakia, age 16. And Binom Braun of Poland, age 12. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own. As we turn now to page 598, please rise as you are able, as together we join together in the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'yizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam u'lomei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei d'kudsha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, b'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Susan Schwartz, a member of the Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements. There you go.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our Shabbat evening service. Once again, Temple Emeth members are invited to send New Year greetings to their friends and family in the September bulletin. Forms are available in the lobby and can be downloaded from our website. Completed forms and payment are due in the office by Friday, August 18th. Temple Emeth is our adult choir, which sings at the high holidays and at about 5 Shabbat services during the year. Temple Emeth's first rehearsal to prepare for the high holidays will be this Wednesday, August 2nd at 7:45 p.m. If you'd like to join the choir and attend the first rehearsal, please reach out to Carol Shansky. The Family Promise Walk-In dinner program, which feeds up to 200 people a day in Bergen County, needs bottled water. Please bring a case or more to the Bergen County Housing, Health, and Human Services Center in Hackensack. You can also leave your donations by the collection box in our lobby, and the Social Action Committee will deliver them through the end of August. Thank you to this evening's volunteers in the live stream control room. Gail and Michael Goldberg are at the controls tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
And I'd also like to thank Cindy Simon for a wonderful Torah reading of the Shema. I forgot to say the page number, but thankfully most of you are familiar with it, and so you just knew that she did a fine job. And thank you, Yashir Koch, to Stephen Friedman for being our cantorial soloist this evening. Stephen is not quite finished because we have a closing song, and let me thank Tom Estachio as well. Tom, I hope you enjoyed your time away. We missed you, I especially, because I had to sing without you. But we're glad you're back, Tom, and we are glad that together you'll be leading us in our closing song, which is found on page 626 in Mishkan Tefillah. Please join us as we sing Ein Keloheinu.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
We have reached the end of our service. If you've been watching us on live stream, it's your last chance to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. Perhaps you'd like to say Yashir Koch to Cindy for a fine Torah reading, or Yashir Koch to Stephen for a wonderful job as our cantorial soloist. Or perhaps you'd just like to post the same words that we in the sanctuary are about to offer one another. As we conclude our service, we turn to one another and we say, Shabbat Shalom.